Hey, my friends, Eric Konovalov here, and welcome back to another episode of Lead, Sell, Grow, the Human Experience Podcast. I am so grateful for you. And if you've been getting value from these episodes, please hit share, hit like, subscribe, join the Facebook community, Lead, Sell, Grow Mastermind, and I hope to see you there. Now, let me ask you this question really, really quickly. Do you ever feel like other people see more in you than you see in yourself? Like, I have this problem. I still have this problem. Like, no matter what I try to do, there's always this thing in the back of my mind that says, who the hell are you? Who do you think you are? Freaking immigrant from whatever country. I'm moving my camera, guys. I know this isn't professional, but it's bothering me. It's not centered. All right. Kid from former Russia. I didn't graduate from college until like I was 27, whatever the excuses are. Do you feel that way? Like, do you get those voices talking to you? Well, I do, and I've felt them for a long, long time. And recently, I heard two people. I heard Ed Milet, and I want to say Lewis House. Now, these guys are on top of their game. If you don't know who Ed Milet is, or if you don't know who Lewis House are, he's got the School of Greatness podcast. Ed Milet's got his Max Out brand. I mean, these guys are just amazing. Both of them said they still deal with what's called imposter syndrome. Now, I'm sure we all deal with it in different ways, but what I know now is that 2 years ago, I wouldn't have known that it was imposter syndrome. I would just, something is just stopping me. Like if you listen to Les Brown speeches, you hear him say something like, you're driving through life on an e-brake. There's this thing where it's just, you want to do it, you get ready to do it. And when it's time to do it, you just don't do it. And it's like, why not? So as I started coaching entrepreneurs, as I started dealing with sales professionals more and more, I realized how prevalent it is. Like it stops us from making calls, but we don't know why. It stops us from taking action on our goals. Once again, we don't realize why. So I want to give you just a few steps. I wrote down four steps that you can take in order to completely eliminate your imposter syndrome. Now, this is going to have to happen every single time you try a new goal, because every time that subconscious kicks in and it wants to prevent you from taking action. Now, we got to recognize, number one, that's the reason why our mind does this is because it doesn't like change, because it perceives that change could hurt us. So this is the comfort zone. We know this wherever we are, right? We know that if I don't go out and start a new business, I won't lose any money. I will not get hurt. I won't, embarrass myself, whatever it may be. And so it wants to keep us here. However, what it does not consider is that there are really good potentials for, making more money, building new relationships, growing to the next version of ourselves. The mind doesn't care about that. The mind just wants to keep us safe. And so the first thing we got to do is, and this is, I'll call it zero, right? Zero is recognize it. The very first thing we got to do is recognize it. And the way you do that is just see what results you want. And then when you're not getting there, like even if you wrote out your action plan, even if you've got your get shit done list and there's things on your list every day for the last 5 days and you're just not doing it, there's a good chance there's some form of imposter syndrome there. So recognize that it's there. Then from zero, we'll go to number one. Oftentimes that happens because we compare ourselves to others. And the mistake we make when we're comparing ourselves to others is we compare our beginning to somebody else's experienced, experience level, right? Like their vast experience. So if I wanted to start a podcast today and I look at a guy like Lewis House, who's got millions of followers, it's easy for me to say, I can't do that. I can't get millions of followers. No one's going to listen to me because everyone's going to go listen to him. And these thoughts run through our head. So that doesn't do me any good. Comparison is not good. There are people that will listen to me over somebody else. There are people that will listen to you over somebody else. There's a way you're going to do it that no one else has thought about yet. It's your unique thoughts. And I'm a firm believer of where do our thoughts come from? right? Like, where do we ever wonder that? Like, where do our thoughts come from? Did we create them? Can I create my own thoughts? I can choose what I think about, but can I create the thought? Very interesting to think about. What I like to think is that our thoughts come to us from a higher power, from a higher source. Thoughts are energy. Energy always flows from a higher source to a lower source. You can look at energy on a city grid, right? You got the power lines. They're going into underground. It's going into your house. That you plug a lamp into a little plug, and then the light goes on. So energy is always moving, and if thoughts are energy, and they're being passed on to us from a higher source, then I also believe that if I got an idea for something, there's absolutely no way that I'm not able to bring that idea to life. I'm the only one that can really stop that idea from becoming true. So that is one of my beliefs. And so comparing myself to others will only hurt me. So I try not to do that, even though naturally it comes in. Right. So there's a natural state of operating, like our autopilot, the way we've been operating our whole life. That's the way that's responsible for us getting the results we've got this far. And so if I want different results, obviously I'm going to start to think differently, do things differently, right? And becoming more aware of me comparing myself to somebody else, of even feeling like an imposter. Those are huge things and a huge first step. All right, number 2, focus on your past successes. So oftentimes we focus on our past failures, right? Like, oh, I can't do this. I've tried that before and it didn't work out. So that means, I'll never do it. I can't do it. I won't be able to do it. It's simply not true. Okay. Here's the thing. Make a list. Like, if you don't have anything to do, I'm pretty sure you got stuff to do, but if you have 30 minutes to an hour that you can block off in the next couple of days, just to sit down and reflect on all the things you're proud of, all your accomplishments. What have you done? Where have you been? Create a list, a pro list for yourself. Okay? Be your own advocate. Have that list available so that when you're feeling less than, so that when you're feeling like you can't go for it, when that imposter syndrome sits in, you have a plan that you're going to look at this list. Put that list in your phone, have that list on your desk, have that list framed on your wall, have it somewhere where you can see it all the time, so that when you feel like you haven't done much, like you haven't accomplished anything, you have a reference point to look down and say, oh man, that's pretty badass. For me, it's been immigrant to knucklehead to Marine Corps career to leading sales teams to making X amount of dollars to starting my own business to helping a bunch of people grow their business. Like, and I literally put them out one by one. Who did I do? What did I do? What did I do? Now I have this list. It fortifies, it gives me weapons. It gives me weapons to fight those negative feelings when they come up. And I encourage you to have that list, have it ready so that you can reference it. It's going to be your sword when you go into battle mentally here, that'll help you win. All right. Number 3, take it to court. All right. It's possible to believe a lie, guys. It's so possible to believe a lie. We can see people believing lies all the time. That's what we do. We just believe stuff that we want to agree with, whether it's true or not true. And a lot of times it's a lie that we believe in. Well, when you're feeling imposter syndrome, right? When you're dealing with imposter syndrome, oftentimes it's because you're believing a lie. And here's why I know it's a lie. You don't really know if you're going to be able to accomplish the goal. You just don't. The only way to find out is give it a try. But we get stopped at the point where we haven't even tried yet. We've already talked ourselves out of it, right? Like, for years, I've talked myself out of training for a marathon because I'm like, well, I can't do that. I can't run. I hate running. I'm not a runner. Not once did the thought that, hey, this is a lie. There's a bunch of people. You look at David Goggins, who was 300 something pounds, now runs like 100-mile races, right? And if it's possible for a guy like David, why isn't it possible for a guy like me? And where else did I suck before, but I got through it and got better at it? Well, weightlifting. I used to be a scrawny kid. Now I'm proud to say I can, lift quite a bit of weights. Why can't I do that with running? You see, this is me taking it to court, putting it on the stand. And the I'm talking about is that belief. It's that negative negative self-talk that comes in. I want to take it, I want to put it on a stand, and I want to cross-examine it like I'm freaking Matlock and Judge Judy and Judge Joe Brown. You guys probably could tell I like judge shows. Judge Mathis was one funny ones. Yeah, I like him too. Anyway, we put it on a stand and we cross-examine it. And the cross-examination sounds exactly like I just gave you an example of, with David Goggins. If he can do it, why can't I? Where else have I accomplished something that I thought I couldn't do before? Is this true for me? Like, is it true that I'm not going to be able to run a marathon? Well, how do I know? Until I run a marathon, how will I ever know? I won't, right? And you won't. You won't know if you can start your business. You won't know what the result of that cold call would be. You won't know what the result would be if you did send out that email. So why not just go find out? Just go have fun with it. Find out. Number 4, enjoy the process. Have fun with it. I'm reading this book. Gosh, I'm embarrassed to say it. It's like a never-ending book, but it's called Awareness. And one of the lines he says in there is like, he says, I'm an ass, you're an ass. Well, we're all just asses. We all make mistakes. We all fart. We all do stupid stuff. And we all try to seem perfect in front of everybody else. And the second we let go of this attachment to be perfect, the second we allow and open a door to be made fun of and just look at ourselves from the standpoint of, you dumbass, what a goofball, right? The second we're able to do that and realize that it's okay, that, the second you start laughing at yourself, it's okay because everybody's been laughing at you for the longest time. You just didn't know it. Or nobody's been laughing at you because nobody really cares. That's also the truth. We can move forward with it. Just have fun. Give yourself some grace to make a mistake. Give yourself some room to not be perfect, because you know what? We're not perfect and it's okay. But what's not good is if you let your imperfection or your idea of perfection stop you from even trying. So if you're dealing with imposter syndrome, number 1, recognize that that could be it. Number 2, do not compare. If you see yourself comparing yourself to others, stop. They're running their race. You got to run your race, and it's going to be different, and you may surpass them. I was talking to Max yesterday, and that's my 13-year-old son. He saw this new Lamborghini coming out, and it looks so cool. There's like the coolest commercial for it. It's got lightning and all kinds of stuff in the commercial. And so he showed it to me. He's looking at it, and I said, well, how fast does it get to 0 to 60? He's like, oh, 2.5 seconds. I was like, oh, that's awesome. But, the Tesla Plaid can beat it. Tesla Plaid will beat it 0 to 60. But guess what's going to happen at 200 miles an hour? Tesla ain't going to stand much of a chance, right? So run your race. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. If somebody's a little bit ahead of you now, I don't even know how that's measured, right? How do you measure that? They have more followers with it. They're a different person than you. They're in a different environment. They started at a different time. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter. At one point, you could, if you have to compare yourself today on day 1 to their day 1. And what you'll see is you've had so many similarities. Actually, I'm going to change this whole principle. Instead of, don't compare your beginning with someone else's vast experience. And I'm going to add, but if you're going to compare your beginning to someone else, make sure you're comparing it to their beginning. And you're going to see that they're an ass and I'm an ass line up very, very well, because they probably sucked in their beginning, just like you will in your beginning. And that's okay. All right. Number 2, focus on your past successes. Make that list. That list is going to be so good for you when it's in front of you, just reading through, oh man, I did this. The reason we want to do that is because our mind is geared towards focusing on the negative. Like if you don't do anything, if you don't control your thoughts intentionally, they will naturally go towards the negative. They'll worry, they'll get you stressed, they'll start thinking about something bad that happened. I don't know why it happens that way. It just does. So what we want to do is we want to fight that energy. And one of the ways to do that is always have a list in front of you that says, I'm pretty badass. I've done a lot. I can do more. I'm unstoppable. I got this. All right. Number three, take it to court, cross-examine it. If it says, oh, you're not going to be good at that, it's going to suck. Whoa, 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 where did that come from? Let's put you on a stand and let's cross-examine you. Why do you think that's true? Because it's possible to believe a lie. And chances are, if you haven't taken any steps towards your success, you're believing a lie. And number four, enjoy the process. Who you are to be, you're now becoming. So enjoy it. You're not going to be the greatest on day one, but you can get one step closer every single day. It's not about being 100% better each day. It's just about being 1% better than you were the day before. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in. If you like this episode, hit share, hit subscribe, leave a comment. Love you and wish you a great weekend, because I'm recording this on Friday. But I wish you whatever day you're having to be the best day ever.